Hey, I'm Julian, Atlassian Developer Champion at Seibert, and today I will be talking about Rovo Studio and how to generate Confluence app with this brand new tool. Why are we talking about this? Rovo Studio is the brand new experience from Atlassian that allows you to customize Jira and Confluence with Forge apps. Also, we'll be talking about Confluence macros, the most powerful module of Forge that allows you to customize your Confluence pages. For those of you who are not aware, Atlassian Studio looks like this and has this brand new feature on the very left, Apps. This allows you to customize Confluence in Jira without the need to touch a single line of code. The thing is, it still uses Forge, which is a good thing. It's a very powerful platform. However, the documentation is huge. There are close to 100 modules in Forge. And just based on the documentation, it's a bit tricky to guess how the module will actually look like as soon as you implement it in your Forge app. So the thing is, in this video, we will be talking about the most powerful macro in Confluence and show you the different configuration types so that you know how to prompt Rovo Studio. What you will walk away with is all the macro types, all the different kinds of things like Bodied macros and macros with a configuration, as well as the manifest patterns. The manifest file is the base of every Forge app. And as soon as you know how the manifest file has to look like, it's way easier to steer Rovo Studio into the right direction. Also, you will get some prompt vocabulary. So strings you can just copy into the chat box of Rovo Studio to get the best results. Also, in a small bonus part, I will be showing you how to use Rovo to insert macros for you so that your employees and your users can use these macros without the need of having to enter all the needed things into the page. They will be able to use the sidebar of Rovo so that the agent can decide which macros to configure in the right way. We are doing this because we have close to 2 decades behind us as an Atlassian Platinum Solution Partner and an Atlassian Marketplace Partner in this ecosystem. We are over 500 employees in over 6 countries, and we love to tackle tricky problems in the Atlassian ecosystem. So even if you are not yet able to achieve the results you want with these videos, just reach out to us. We are very happy to help you. All right, let's get started with the most simple form that a macro in Confluence can have. The basic macro. So let's head over to Confluence and insert something we all know, like for example the info panel. Technically, this is already very close to a macro. Forge macro now allow us to insert our own macros that we implement in Forge with Rovo Studio. Like this very simple Hello World macro, which renders a Pong game onto your page. And as you might have guessed, Rovo has built this game, and as soon as you update the page, all your users can have this very customized experience. And of course, as soon as you are using this module type, you can render the things you need in your company, like data from an external system or a custom type of a table. Everything is possible by just telling Rovo Studio to build a very simple macro without a configuration. The needed manifest YAML file looks pretty simple. As soon as you open the code of your app, you will find this manifest YAML file, which is the base of every Forge app, and you will see a list of macros. And a very simple macro does not have many attributes here. You have a key and a title, and as soon as you have a backend connected to it, which we have in this example, you also define a resolver and a function. And if you use custom UI, you also have a resource. We jump over this part. This is a tricky one here. The function is needed for the backend your macro is going to call. In our simple Pong game, we don't have a backend actually, but to make this useful, you need some interaction with the backend. As soon as you create your first macro, make sure that Rovo gets this straight and also implements a simple Hello World backend function. To verify this, just check the function module in the manifest YAML file. The resources part is needed for the UI you are going to render. In our case, we have a custom UI, which is one of the two UI frameworks in Forge. Rovo Studio might ask you which framework to use. We usually recommend custom UI because it allows you to have a greater flexibility, but UIKit or Forge UI is fine as well. And as soon as you're done, you should be able to see your very first customized macro in Confluence. The next macro type is one I'm particularly excited about because customers have asked us as a marketplace partner for years for this feature in Forge. It's about bodied macros. These are macros that can have a body, and this body can be made of all other kinds of macros and text content. Rovo has built a bodied macro for us, which is called Hello World Bodied, and we can place all other kinds of macros into this macro. So let's continue with the info panel. This is important maybe. And in this view, it doesn't look special, but as soon as you hit the update button, you see what a bodied macro is capable of. You see this confidential wrapper around it. So this is what Rovo Studio can do for you. You can ask it to build a bodied macro that wraps its content with some more data or more visualizations like this confidential wrapper. This is not only for things like text markers, but you can also wrap tables, for example, and then interpret the content in a way that allows you to do calculations based on that content. And bodied macro is easy to miss in the documentation. Make sure to prompt Rovo Studio in the right way if you want to achieve an experience like this. And to do this, ask it to use the same macro definition like for a default macro, but make sure it has the layout bodied part that is written here. The rest is the same. As soon as you need a backend, you want to have a function defined, and depending on which UI framework you are going to use, define a resources key like this. Now let's speak about the most common kind of a macro, the configurable macro. In our first example, we have just rendered a very simple Pong game that does not have any more flexibility. A configurable macro allows users to set some parameters to customize the experience. For this, we need to edit the page. We remove everything we have here and enter our next macro key, which has a 3, and it is a configurable button. You see, Confluence doesn't just add it to the page, it asks us for some configuration first. And in this example, we just render a simple button, and we can change its color here. All this is 100% generated by Rovo. So I just ask it to build a configurable macro that renders a button. And we can even add an URL that is linked to the button. We click now on Save, and it renders this button. And as soon as we update the page, the editing experience disappears, and we have a macro that is configurable in any way. So a colorful button is a rather simple example. In another example, we will do some more powerful things. So let's head over to the code example you will need to achieve a result like this. Make sure that Rovo adds a config attribute to your manifest file to link the configuration view to the macro. And make sure that it uses a custom UI or UIKit for both parts, which makes the implementation way easier on your side. Let's now talk about a full screen macro. I'm particularly excited about this one because I think this is the newest feature Atlassian has shipped to Confluence macros. A full screen macro isn't full screen itself, it offers a full screen configuration. We remember our button that is also configurable, but now we have a macro that has a full screen configuration. As soon as we have inserted this macro, a full screen experience appears, and this is now a more realistic example. It renders data from an external system, which is a user directory. So in this example, we can click some checkboxes and select 4 people here. and hit save, which saves the macro parameters then, and then renders cards for these people we have selected. So we update the page and see now that every user is able to select these pieces from the external system that is most useful for this page. And you're not limited now in terms of the pop-up size. You can even render the whole external tool inside of Confluence. I will show that again to you. As soon as we hit edit on that macro, we have that full screen experience. So this allows you to render a full editor or a full external system without any limitations. The good thing is users do not have to leave Confluence for this anymore, so there's no need to jump between tabs or no need to copy IDs, for example. You can just render the whole external system within Confluence, which is a really powerful feature. To ask Rovo to build that for you, make sure it renders viewport size full screen into your manifest YAML file. This has to appear below the config part. So this makes it clear that the configuration part of the macro will be full screen. The rest is the same, comparable to other macros. Important is the viewport size full screen. As soon as Rovo knows about that, you will get that experience right away. The full screen experience you have just seen has also been generated by Rovo Studio just by prompting it to render viewport size full screen. A next example how to tightly integrate your external systems with Confluence is the autoconvert macro. This is also a rather new feature in Confluence. An autoconvert macro automatically appears as soon as a URL is inserted a Confluence page and follows a certain pattern. As we all know, the FIFA World Cup has just started in the US, which is why I took this example. We now copy the URL that brings us to the homepage of the Canadian team and insert this into Confluence to see what happens. I will empty the page for this example and now just paste the FIFA URL, and it immediately gets converted to an according macro, which is macro number 5 in this case. So what is happening here? The macro automatically detects that this is a FIFA.com URL. It extracts the ID of the country and renders the according flag to the very left. The macro defines autoconvert matchers with certain patterns. And in this case, we have a matcher for every deep link that can appear under this tournament. So this allows you to link all kinds of applications you have in your company to Confluence. Maybe it's a deployment of an ERP system, for example, that automatically converts the URL to a card that shows the relevant information. This again removes the need for users to click on a link to go to another system, but it allows you to have a macro that automatically renders the most relevant information automatically in Confluence. And it always stays up to date as soon as you have implemented a fetching backend for this. Let's now speak about my favorite feature of Rovo in combination with macros. Most people don't know that Rovo agents are now even able to insert macros into a page based on a conversation. Let's check this out. For this example, we will use our people card again from the previous example. It's the macro that allows you to select people to then render them in Confluence. And now we'll be using Rovo to check out if Rovo is aware of this macro. For this example, we will change to the page edit agent. The page edit agent is something our app has implemented, but in the future, the change of the agent in this dropdown will not be needed anymore, as Forge apps will be able to present their tools directly to the main Rovo agent. But for now, we have to select the page edit agent here to then ask it something like, please add Luca Rossi to the page. Then we have to wait for a few minutes. And again, this is, of course, is a very simple example, but the conversation could be more complicated, and Rovo could assist the user to do some more complex stuff that is also based on external system calls. The result, in any case, is a macro here. We have to confirm that here, because the agent has detected we want to add something to the page. And after a few seconds, we have Luca Rossi added to the page. And again, imagine what this allows you to do in your Confluence site, as this could be based on a complex conversation. For example, the agent could look up data in an external spreadsheet and then render the results into the page directly, again, without the need to change systems. And to achieve this, you have to tell Rovo that you want to edit the ADF format of the current draft. This is a bit more complex. With a few prompts, Rovo Studio was able to achieve this, though you need to know a bit what you want, which is why I tell you what's needed for that. To achieve something like this, you need a Rovo agent. Again, maybe in a few months, this might be you might be able to skip this part. Right now, you need your very own page edit agent and explain it what it's able to do. And most importantly, link an action to it, which is the insert people list macro. And this insert people list macro is a Forge action that accepts a content ID and the name, the person's names, to then add it to the page. You, depending on your use case, of course, need to adjust these parameters and then link the action to a backend function. And if you want to achieve this, just copy over the whole code, give it to Rovo Studio and tell it, I want to achieve this, please use this as an example. Because what you have to do in the backend is maybe not that easy to guess if you haven't worked with the Atlassian doc format before. So what you need to do is implement a function that gets the person IDs based on the input, based on the full name. Then we need to fetch the whole page, parse its content, the ADF format, Atlassian document format, update this ADF and write it back. This looks simple. In my case, Rovo Studio struggled a bit to achieve this, though it's possible, and you will be able to do that in a one-shot prompt by just giving it this code example. And then you have a Rovo agent that is actually able to work with you on a page, and it's able to steer a user into the right direction when it's about inserting the right macros with the right configuration. So be sure to copy that into Rovo as soon as you want to achieve an Rovo action that allows you to interact with macros on pages with a Rovo agent. We have now seen what Forge is able to do with macros within Confluence. And to now get started, just head over to studio.atlassian.com and start your own app using the prompts you have seen in this video. You can get all the codes you have seen just by opening the website and contacting us. We'll be building a page that allows you to directly access all the different prompts. Right now, we are not ready yet, so just reach out to us. You will find a form on that page, and we'll be very happy to help you out with all the codes you have seen. We are also offering Forge workshops if you have larger plans in mind for your own Forge apps. And we have a template for advanced apps in our repositories we are very happy to share. We are also an Atlassian Marketplace partner, so we are building Forge apps for millions of users. So we have some kind of experience to build larger apps that go beyond a simple button in Confluence. And if you have any other questions and these offerings don't feel like a good fit, just reach out to me. This is my email address. I'm very happy and keen to hear what you are building. Also, if you need some inspiration of what you can achieve, head over to forge-apps.com, which is a list that shows you all Forge apps on the Atlassian Marketplace. It's pretty up to date. We refresh it every 24 hours. And it even lists all the modules that are being used by a Forge app on the marketplace. Let's use our app drawer.io, for example, and click on modules here, and you see all the different modules that the app is using. And this can be some kind of inspiration when it's about to prompt Rovo to build an experience you see in other marketplace apps. Also, please feel free to head over to the merch shop of Seibert Group, merch.seibert.group, and get some swag like a cap like this. And yeah, feel free to reach out. We are very happy to help. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one.